So, today we're going to talk about our world and just how weird it's getting. We're going to go from the absolute limits of the human body to these shadowy conspiracies that seem like they're pulled straight out of a movie, and then all the way out to our potential escape hatch to the stars. It really feels like we're all living in a sci fi movie that's speeding up every single day. You know, it all seems to start with these moments that they just feel a little off. They stretch what we think of as normal. A perfect example? The insane physical transformation of Jeff Bezos. I mean, this wasn't just him hitting the gym. It was a complete reinvention that honestly looked like science fiction. And it made everyone ask, what are the absolute outer limits of what a person can become? In that one question, well, that's where you fall down the rabbit hole. It's this feeling that every single day brings some new, wild story that just bends reality a little bit more. It connects everything, the jacked billionaires, the unsolved mysteries, in this incredible race to get off the planet. So what is going on? Why does it feel like the simulation is speeding up? Okay, so let's start with the most basic thing, the human body itself. Online, we've created these new myths about what physical perfection looks like. But it turns out reality is way, way stranger. And honestly, a lot more impressive than any meme. This is the perfect example right here. On the one hand, you've got the GigaChad meme. It's completely artificial, right? It's an edited, kind of uncanny ideal of perfection. But then you have real-life people like strongman Brian Shaw. This isn't CGI. This guy is nearly 7 feet tall, 400 pounds, and get this, he has a bone density so rare it's estimated that maybe only 16 people on the entire planet have it. He's a legitimate modern-day giant. So from the limits of our bodies, we're going to pivot to the limits of power and trust. Because sometimes the official story about a major event, it doesn't just feel wrong, it feels like it's insulting your intelligence, and it forces you to question the entire narrative you're being fed. Okay, take this case. You have a whistleblower, and he's involved with one of the most powerful AI companies on the planet, and he's found dead. The case is shut pretty quickly, and the official cause of death is ruled as suicide. Simple, tragic story, or so it seems. But the details just don't add up at all. The security camera wires, they were cut. There's blood found in 2 completely separate rooms. There's an unidentified wig left at the scene, and this one is wild. He ordered DoorDash right before he supposedly ended his own life. On top of all that, no note, and his family and friends were all insisting, no way he was not suicidal. These aren't just little inconsistencies, right? They're a giant pile of red flags you just can't ignore. So here's the thing. When you lay out all the facts like that, the conclusion a lot of people draw is pretty stark. It doesn't look like a suicide. It looks like a cover-up. It's a plot from a movie, and it's a scary reminder that sometimes, reality really is that dark. All this distrust and just the huge scale of our problems here on Earth, it leads to a really radical idea. What if the ultimate solution isn't to try and fix this impossible game, but to just leave the board entirely? What if humanity needs an escape plan? Because here's the cold, hard truth about our planet. Mass extinction is not some freak one-off accident. It's a recurring feature. The fossil record is crystal clear about this. Life on Earth has been almost completely wiped out on a planetary scale over and over again. Five separate times, the vast majority of all living things on this planet were just gone. And that number doesn't even count all the smaller, continent-level disasters that wouldn't even show up in the deep fossil record. So when you're faced with that kind of recurring threat, this new, unbelievably audacious goal has started to emerge, to make humanity a multi-planetary species. And the plan isn't just to visit Mars for a bit. It's to build a fully self-sustaining city there. Think of it like a backup drive for all of human consciousness, just in case there's a catastrophic failure here on Earth. Okay, but how in the world do you even start to build an escape hatch like that? Well, it requires a complete revolution in technology, specifically in how we get off this rock. And that brings us to the engineering marvel that could actually make this all possible. The vehicle designed to do this is called Starship. Now, to get into orbit, this thing has to travel at about 17,000 miles per hour. That's, 25 times the speed of sound? Or like 30 times faster than a bullet fired from a handgun? It's just mind-bendingly fast. And to get up to that speed, its super heavy booster is powered by 33 of these Raptor engines. And each one of those produces almost 10 times the thrust of a 747 engine. The scale of the power we're talking about is just It's almost impossible to imagine. And the impact of this is just staggering. This year, one company, SpaceX, is on track to launch about 90% of all mass from Earth into orbit. 90%. China does most of what's left. And then every other country on Earth combined makes up that little 4% sliver. It's just total, absolute dominance. So what's the secret sauce? What's the magic trick? Well, it's solving the one problem that has held back space travel for the last 60 years: rocket reusability. The ability to not throw your incredibly expensive vehicle in the trash after you use it just one time. The analogy for this is perfect. For decades, spaceflight has been like buying a brand new 747, flying it once from New York to London, and then just letting it crash into the ocean while you parachute out. A fully reusable rocket is like landing that plane, refueling it, and getting it ready for the next flight. It drops the cost of getting to space by a factor of 100, maybe even 1,000. It changes literally everything. So when you put it all together, the struggle for personal power, the political paranoia, this existential need for an escape plan, you start to get a picture of humanity facing this one immense challenge. And what's absolutely wild is just how narrow our window for success really is. We happen to live on a planet with pretty high gravity. If it were just 10 or 20% stronger, we physically could not leave with chemical rockets. We would be trapped here forever. We are right on the hairy edge of what is even possible. Which brings us to this final thought, and it might be the perfect metaphor for our entire situation. The challenge of our existence, from our own biology to our politics to our tiny place in the cosmos. It's like we're all playing a video game that's been set to the absolute maximum difficulty setting. It is incredibly hard. But, and this is the important part, it's not impossible.